Namaskar friends, this is NJ, host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion on the most feared planetary time period, which is going to be the Mahadasha of the planet Saturn or the Saturn Dasha. So friends, if I were to say my own personal opinion, this is the best time which you should ask for, which you should pray for. Because when we talk about achieving something big, doing something substantially big, so all of that potential Saturn only holds in Vedic astrology. Like when we talk about the Dasha system, so it all comes down to, and it all gets determined and decided on the basis of your moon nakshatra. So whatsoever your moon nakshatra is, which in itself is so important, which not only carries the information of your this life, but at the same time information of your past life as well. And on the basis of your deeds done in the past life only, we go through experiences in this lifetime, and it's the duties of these planets only present in our chart, basis their placement in our chart, that we go through different experiences and we get the result on the basis of planets placement in your chart, its house ownership in the chart, and at the same time its own innate nature. We experience Venus, for example, in happiness, in enjoyment. We experience Jupiter while in the pursuit of wisdom or knowledge. Same ways we experience Saturn through grief, through miseries, through difficulties, but that doesn't mean that Saturn is there in our life, or in Vedic astrology is hard bent to make us go through all kind of sufferings only, because it is the same planet which also holds the potential to make you reach the top of the position, top of your chosen field. When we talk about all those people who have this level of influence, this level of authority, that they exert the influence to move the masses, so that kind of potential only Saturn holds in Vedic astrology. So I mean to say guys, the moment your dasha of the planet Saturn is going to begin, let's say for example, if you are not born in the dasha of the planet Saturn, like if your moon nakshatra is not Pushya, not Anuradha, not Uttara Bhadrapada, so it means you might be going through the time period of planet Jupiter before it, and which might be giving you good pleasurable experiences, all kind of prosperity, expansion, growth. But the moment you are going to enter the time period of the planet Saturn, which is a 19-year long period. So I mean to say, to begin with, first of all, it is very important to understand the approach, attitude which you need to carry with yourself while dealing the dasha of the planet Saturn. Because trust me guys, the way I encountered Saturn, I don't think so anyone would have the same level of experience. Saturn is a very important planet in my chart. It rules very important houses as well. It is sitting conjunct with my ascendant lord in Saturn's own nakshatra. It is also Vargotam as well. And the time when my Saturn Dasha began, my Saturn return also happened at the same time. So trust me, I'm very soon going to make an independent video on my own personal experience with Saturn. But trust me, whatsoever I have achieved in the life, I'm highly thankful, in debt to, and very much grateful to Lord Saturn only. So now guys, coming to understanding the way or the approach you have to carry while going through the time period of the planet Saturn. So first of all, like the way I said this thing, that if you want to achieve something big, something concrete, that is Saturn only which holds the power, which holds the influence to bestow those to you. But important is that the first approach or the first tip is that you have to remain patient, you have to remain calm. Whatsoever is going to happen in the time period of planet Saturn, that is going to take time. And you have to understand this thing, that Saturn in itself is a planet of justice. Now imagine a planet which in itself represents justice. How come is it going to do injustice to you? Trust me on this guys, compared to all other planetary time periods, it's the Saturn's time period only where all the hard work done by you never goes to vain. It always gets paid back. It always gets very beautifully paid back. So important is that first thing is that you have to remain patient, you have to remain calm. The second approach which you need to inculcate is that you have to be at your best when it comes to ethics, when it comes to virtues, when it comes to doing hard work, being responsible, being mature, being accountable. So you do not have to run away from your responsibilities. And the third approach which I want to share it with you guys is that, you have to be human. Whether you by yourself, you are humanitarian, you are philanthropic or not, but in the time period of the planet Saturn, if Saturn's time is operational on you, you have to be humanitarian, you have to be a part of the collective. Saturn always comes hard on all those people who are very egocentric or who are very self-centered. Saturn attains exaltation in the Libra sign, which is the original 7th house of the Kalpurush Kundli, which is all about being within the crowd. So I mean to say, doing voluntary work could be seen as the best remedy. Like for example, for all those people who follow the Eastern system, belief and Vedanta, they generally they worship Lord Narsimha, they worship Lord Kartikeya, they worship Lord Hanuman. But at the same time, the most important and the accurate remedy is the more voluntary work you can do. You have to remain very respectful towards the elderly people. You have to be a part of all the community awareness causes and uplifting causes. You have to connect and empathize with all those people who are going through suffering, who are going through any kind of troubles. So if this is the approach which you are going to follow, trust me, you can make best out of the dasha or the time period of the planet Saturn. Now guys, if you also want to understand it from the perspective of the planetary alignments or from the Vedic astrology terminologies, so we all know this thing that Saturn holds good relationship with the planet Mercury, with the planet like Venus, and Saturn holds inimical relationship with Sun, with Moon and with Mars. So I mean to say, the Saturn just wants to do some work in your life. I have already explained this thing that in your natal chart, wheresoever Saturn is going to be placed, only this, just the mere placement of the Saturn is going to give us this idea where your duties, your responsibilities lie in this lifetime. In which area of your life you have to exert your duties, your energies, and you have to fulfill your responsibilities. So the only problem comes when Saturn, with its slow pace and distant vision, very futuristic, very mature, wise old man vision, whatsoever Saturn is planning and trying to do in your life, the only planets which can cause hindrance in his work is, first of all, Moon. Why Moon? Because Moon gets overwhelmed because of the burden of the responsibilities which Saturn can bring in someone's life. Now why Sun? I have already explained this thing to you that Sun is a very egocentric planet. Now whether Sun in itself or whether it's the sign of the Sun Leo, where there is lot of attention given to me, myself, I, and Saturn just tells about sharing. Saturn just tells about giving concern to the outside world, becoming a part of the collective and bringing your ego down and remaining very humble. So I mean to say, that's how Sun can create problems. And the last is the planet Mars, which is impulsive, which is always in a rush to do. Now when we talk about even the Aries sign, where the quickness, the impulse, spontaneity is very high, something which is completely in contradiction with Saturn's innate nature, innate functioning. And even if you want to understand the other sign ruled by the planet Mars, which is the Scorpio sign, which could be seen as a good placement for the psychics, for all those people who are in research or who have devoted themselves to spirituality, mystic sciences or occult. But at the same time, there is little bit of the fluctuation and tumultuousness in the functioning of the Scorpio as well, which doesn't get along well with the innate nature of the planet Saturn. So let's say, for example, if in your life Saturn's time period is already operational, so the approach which I have shared with you, if you're going to do that, you're going to follow that. And let's say, for example, if you follow the Vedic way of living, so the worship of Lord Hanuman helps you in a way that not only it is going to fill that sense of endurance, it is going to make you more devoted towards your duties, but at the same time it also fills you with courage and strong endurance, because only those people fall prey to the harshness of the functioning of the planet Saturn, which have got this weak endurance power, weak willpower. So their the worship of the Lord Hanuman can actually help you. Because guys, you have to understand this thing, that if Saturn is going to be strengthened in your chart, no matter how much hardship is going to come your way, that is not going to distract you from your path in this lifetime. But let's say, for example, all those people who have this victim mentality, they keep on complaining, they keep on whining, so those are the people who might have an afflicted or weak Saturn placed in their chart. So I mean to say, worship of Lord Hanuman is one thing which you guys can do. The second thing is that, let's say for example, God forbid, if you're going through the hardship of the planet Saturn in a way, Saturn is going to bring only those results in front of you where you're actually reaping the results of your own deeds only. But let's say for example, your own deeds are questionable, are vulnerable. So in those kind of situation, if you're going through the hardship in a way that chronic diseases are troubling you, the concerns of depression, pessimism, or threat on the account of enemies or hidden or evil influence, so in those kind of situation, worship of Lord Shiva and at the same time the recitation of the Mahamrityunjaya mantra can be seen as a very strong remedy in order to tackle the karmic side of the ferociousness of the energy manifestation of the planet Saturn in its dasha, in its time period. Because guys, you have to understand this thing, that whenever any dasha gets activated in your life, that planet holds a major say in your life. It's the planetary stored your karmic energies only which start manifesting and coming in front of you. So in your life's vehicle, the driver or the driving seat goes to the planet whose time period you run into in the form of its activated dasha in your life. So that is something guys which I wanted to tell you or share with you as a part of the general guideline or theme of the dasha of the planet Saturn. Now we will try to understand and divide this whole 19 years of Mahadasha in different Antardasha, different sub periods, and try to understand what kind of results it can bring in our life. So friends, if you want a better and an elaborative understanding of this 19-year long Mahadasha of the planet Saturn, so if you are born in the Saturn Dasha only, so you might have made peace with living in sync with the Saturnian principles. But let's say for example, someone who was going through the time period of the planet Jupiter, where life was all about luck, happiness, prosperity, all form of expansion, support of other people, the moment this native is going to enter the time period of the planet Saturn, so the first evident happening which can be observed in the life is going to be that things might start getting delayed. You suddenly might start feeling yourself overwhelmed by the pressure of the responsibilities. You might have to work hard for the same things which was very easily achievable before. But you have to understand this thing, through this all hard work and maneuvers, Saturn is trying to make you strong. Saturn is making you more responsible, or might be paving path for some big accomplishment only. And guys, if you want to break this 19-year long dasha of the planet Saturn in different themes, so you have to take into consideration the sub-planetary time period as well, the Antardasha as well. So any planet's Mahadasha always begins with the same planet's Antardasha only. So Saturn's Antardasha is going to be of a period close to 3 years of time. So that is going to be a testing phase which is going to give you this hint that how your this 19-year long dasha is going to be turning up. And at the same time, guys, this is going to be the time when Saturn's grip is going to be very strong on you. So all the Saturnian principles you have to start inculcating in your life, where it's all about discipline, it's all about responsible, it's all about being respectable to the downtrodden, all the community related concerns and the issues. So I mean to say, you have to start understanding and living in sync with the Saturnian principles. When we enter the second phase of the Saturn's dasha in the form of Mercury's Antardasha. So guys, you have to understand this thing individually. You have to check the strength of the planet Mercury in your chart. You have to check the distance from the Mahadasha Lord to the Antardasha Lord, and this could be seen as one of the most fortunate time in this whole 19-year long period of the planet Saturn, where in whichsoever sphere of life you are. If you are a student, you can get good grades, you can get admission into some good college, good courses. If you are a service professional, so you can actually get the results of your hard work. Or let's say for example, you are a freelance person, long you have been working hard to start something on your own, so some good business opportunities can get materialized during this phase. So this will not be an exaggeration to attribute this phase within the Saturn's Mahadasha as one of the most fortunate time. Now the moment you are going to enter the Antardasha of the Ketu, so you have to understand this thing, both Saturn and Ketu are the planets of seclusion, isolation, but at the same time these two are the planets of wisdom as well. Ketu represents transcendental wisdom. Saturn teaches you with experiences. And just because Ketu being a karmic planet, so there could be all those possibilities where I have seen people derouting from their dwellings, like shifting to new places, migrating to new places, from job to business, business to job, changing companies. So all these things can materialize. The best part here is that your free will is going to be at its minimum. So rather than fighting with it, surrender to it, because otherwise Saturn has got a very unrelenting and harsh ways of bending down someone. The moment you're going to enter the Venus Antardasha, so guys, this could also be seen as a very good time, equivalent to or little bit less than the Mercury's Antardasha in the Saturn Mahadasha. So I mean to say, if in your case you are in any of the artistic creative industry, content creation, we talk about settling down, getting married, expanding your family, so all those things can materialize in the Antardasha of the Venus. Like even from the financial perspective, this time period can be seen as very fortunate only if Venus is well placed in your chart, and even its distance, its placement from the Mahadasha Lord is like in a Kendra placement, in a Trikona placement. So this can be seen as a good time as well. Now guys, the moment you are going to enter the Sun Antardasha. So when we talk about the Sun Antardasha, Sun is an arch enemy of planet Saturn, because Saturn is a planet of masses and Sun is all about your egocentric needs. So the one thing which I want to advise you over here is that try to keep your ego at its minimum. If you will behave with egoistic needs, Saturn can actually in a very harsh way pull you down. And at the same time, if Sun is well placed in your chart, like for example, if it in its own sign, in a friendly sign, it's exalted, and even from its distance from the Mahadasha Lord, the planet Saturn is in a dignified state, so we can fairly see the concerns are definitely going to hover around fame, titles. But let's say for example, if Sun is afflicted in your chart, so fall from grace or some kind of allegation, all those things can also happen during this Antardasha. Moving to the next time period of the Antardasha of the planet Moon. So guys, this could be seen as a very good time to actually contemplate on your life, to contemplate on your goals, because the way Saturn works, it is a slow moving planet, but it is a planet of delays as well. So I have seen many people who get broken down or who completely surrendered, or their frustration reaches its peak during this time period. So you have to give attention to that whatsoever is happening in your life ever since Saturn Dasha has started, where exactly it is taking you. Are you happy with it? Or even if you are fighting with it, or you're trying to pull your life in some other direction, so is that actually what you want to do, or is it actually going to benefit you in long term? Because whatsoever Saturn works, it always has long and distant vision in mind for you. So that is one thing which you have to give attention to. On a mental, on an emotional level, this could be a very overwhelming time. If Moon is not well placed in your chart, this could also bring worries and anxieties, or a little bit of the concerns of the health of your mother as well. But let's say for example, if Moon is well placed in your chart, getting the positive aspect from Jupiter as well, then you will fairly be able to see the positivity behind all the hard work which Saturn is inspiring you to do. And at the same time, even if some grief has fallen on you, even if you have to work hard, or the responsibilities, pressure of the responsibilities is high, you will be able to see the positive bright light within it. So that is how you can relate the phase of this moon's Antardasha. Now guys, the moment you're going to enter the Antardasha of the planet Mars, so this could be seen as a very sensitive time where the power struggle is going to be at its peak. I mean to say, let's say for example, if in someone's chart Saturn is not well placed, so the whole dasha is somehow giving trouble to the native, and at the same time whatsoever native was fighting with against his destiny, against his prevalent circumstances, so whatever was happening on a mental level in the preceding Antardasha of the moon, in the Mars Antardasha, native might actually start bringing those forced changes in his life as well. And let's say for example, if Mars is not well placed in your chart, Saturnian energies are actually afflicting you, creating problems for you. So then this is the time period when I have seen people getting involved in accidents, deaths, having issues with the enemies, and so many people native start getting in conflicts with. So this is the situation when Mars is not well placed in your chart. But let's say for example, if Saturn and Mars are both dignified, let's say for example for a Aries ascendant native, Saturn and Mars are conjunct in the 10th house, so Mars is exalted, like Saturn is also well placed in its own sign. So if your chart is promising these kind of yogas, and those yogas are also well supported in the D9 chart, in the D10 chart as well, so then in those kind of situations or circumstances or combinations, your willpower is going to be at its peak to tame any challenges. I've seen all those politicians who get the seat, who win the elections, so those kind of success undertaken by hard work, by competition, by defeating your enemies. So that is how you can see the energies reverberating in this time period. Now guys, the moment you're going to enter the Antardasha of the Rahu, so when we talk about the Rahu's Antardasha, so you have to give attention to that Saturn Rahu time period could be filled with lot of illusion, lot of confusion. This time period can be seen as good only for people in whose case the prospects of fame qualify, prospects of research qualify, artificial intelligence qualify, anything connected to politics, all these fields if qualify in your case, then you can get benefited. Otherwise, if Rahu is afflicted in your chart, let's say for example, if it is placed in the water sign, in the Dushtana Bhav, so then in those kind of circumstances, undiagnosed problem, allergies, infections, getting in trouble with the negative energies, the evil influence, so all these things troubles the native at its peak. And at the same time, see, when we talk about the Saturn and the Rahu time period, so you have to understand this thing, it is going to be a very karmic time. So whatsoever decisions you have to take, and that too, if those decisions are lifetime decisions, like marrying someone or starting a business with someone into partnership or any form of lifetime decisions, you have to give strong and high attention towards the credibility, towards the consequences, after effects of your those decisions. And friends, the moment you're going to enter the Antardasha of the planet Jupiter, so now you have to understand this thing, that the whole 19-year-long dasha of the planet Saturn is going to get culminated with the Jupiter Antardasha. And whatsoever Saturn wanted to go through, or whatsoever hardship it has made you go through, so the actual result and fruits of the Saturn's labor and hard work and harshness on you will start giving result in this Antardasha. I mean to say, this is going to be a time period when not only you will learn from your experiences, but at the same time all the results will also start manifesting during this time period. Because I have already said this thing, Saturn is a planet of justice, a planet which in itself represents justice. How can it do injustice to you? If you have remained fair, if you have worked hard, if you have been a part of the collective consciousness in this whole dasha of the Saturn, which Saturn was trying to teach you. Saturn's time period is there to accomplish your high set goals, be humble and be a part of the collective. So I mean to say, this time period of the Jupiter Antardasha, if Jupiter is going to be well placed in your chart, you will definitely see the knowledge, the luck, fortune and all the gifts you will start receiving. Whatsoever Saturn promises in your chart, you will definitely reap those results in this last phase of the Saturn's Dasha. So that is something, friends, which I wanted to share with you as a part of my own experience dealing with and living with the greatness and influence of the planet Saturn. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Thank you.